Okay, guys. Happy Saturday afternoon. Side, come on. Got a all quiet day and finding a lot of good stuff coming out. So we might do two shows. Okay, I want to see which one to start off with. I might start off with this one. We'll start the first one off with Benny video.
Sales were low, so
371 billion.
I'm going to go ahead and start right at the top of the hour. Oh, wait. I'm going to play this one again. I wasn't sure. Some people might have missed it, but we got to hear what Captain Kyle said. He said something important. So it's a 6-minute one. Then we'll get to Benny. Okay, everybody's having a good Saturday afternoon and weekend. I'm going to go ahead and get started. People will be coming in when they start seeing me on here.
No, it won't be over by July 4th, but things will be different by July 4th.
Hear what he just said.
I agree with that. I think they're moving as quick as they can, but things will be different by July 4th. I think July 4th is going to be a a World's kind of Fair reversal celebration. But there's going to be a lot to do. It's going to continue for a while. There's just a lot. There's just a lot of things that aren't operating.
Yeah, and that's intentional. So we have to. Everything has to be torn down. We have to go through our things that we're going to go through. But then the reconstruction and the rebuilding and the redevelopment, so much will happen before that that's going to change our mindset completely, that when we start going down that recovery path, everybody's going to be on board with that. and happier than a pig in shit. We're going that way.
Yeah, I agree.
So, speaking of July 4th, I was listening to one of the health organizations, I guess, pressers, and they were talking about some new things they're doing. And one of the women said that President Trump was asking them to complete whatever it was they were working on by the 4th of July. So if you all remember the World's Fairs, a lot of what that was about was introducing new technology. And I'm wondering if they're going to be doing that. What do you think, Captain?
No, they will be doing that. That's a whole part of what it's all about. If you go in and you read, why don't you do that, Kelly? Why don't you pull up what you and I looked at on, what's their name's website?
Oh, the Iversol Lockwood.
Yeah, Lockwood's website,
Yeah.
and the list of the event type things.
Okay.
Even go back to the one that was the previous one where they were, because it's all going to be encompassing, meaning that the time that they were going to start their stuff, meaning this past year for the year celebration, blah, 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 and all of those events and where they were going to be at, all of those are still going to be going on, even though it's not going to be the times and dates that are a part of what's on that list.
Yeah, I'm gonna search for my post that I made that shows those two different options. I guess that was last year we were looking at that, right?
Yes.
And I'll repost that so for people that didn't see it because
it was like Memorial Day to July 1st. I think it was Memorial Day last year to then. And there were a lot of different options on how it was going to be, where it was going to be, Kennedy Space Center, all these different places. And there are going to be major exhibits of that very thing, just like it was. If you go back and you look in the old World's Fairs, they had the technologies. It wasn't that they discovered them. They had these technologies and they had them out in front of the public. And what they would do is all of the leaders, all of the deep state people would come together and they would decide on what they were going to use going forward with them and which ones they were going to hide and never bring into existence.
Okay, so I will look for that and get that reposted for the people that didn't see it because it's really exciting. The one that they said was going to start, I guess, last year was very simple, just like kind of like a country fair with that you would expect to go to. And then they said, or the option B was the one where you would see all the new technologies and the futuristic stuff, and that would be held in Florida in Cape Canaveral. So,
and that's kind of like massive events, hands-on, seeing things, experiencing things that are going to introduce the public to a whole new reality.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, here it is. I found it. Option A or option B. Okay, here we go. I'm going to repost it right now. The Captain's main channel, so y'all can look at it. Okay.
And don't take the dates and all that stuff. Don't just take the information.
Yes. And all the different options are listed with links there that you can look at them. I remember doing this post. It was really exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to look at it myself again.
Yeah. Like I said, it's all coming. And there's so much more that you won't even realize it until the time comes.
Okay. Captain Kyle played that one again. If some people might have missed it.
Very fascinating, especially about Marjorie and Candace, is that they are not just.
Whoa, we don't have anything to do with your crazy foreign ass.
The ones that you mentioned, where they're saying this action
funny.
is wrong.
They say that you can judge someone by their 5 closest friends. You're
About 8
just not
minutes.
going to be the average of your 5 closest friends. The people you choose to hang out with is a reflection of you. The people that want to embrace you is a tell on who you are.
Oh wait, 11 minutes.
And it's critical to judge a tree by its fruit. We've been noticing some of the fruit is rotten. The influencer class that have turned on President Trump, and we just feel like it's our obligation to call it out. And something hit my timeline that really disturbed me, and I got to bring it to your attention. Ilhan Omar is now embracing Marjorie Taylor Greene. Candace Owens. Oof. What is this? I got to tell you, man, if your wife starts hanging out with a bunch of divorced ladies, you're in trouble. And speaking of very unhappy divorced ladies, Marjorie Taylor Greene's collapse has been biblical and needs to be studied. This is really something else. So Ilhan Omar is saying now that Marjorie Taylor Greene and her need to come together and form some type of political movement with Candace Owens. Okay. It's going to be tough because if you want to look at Ilhan Omar's background, not the person that you should want to be on your side. Again, I say it all the time. The Republican Party isn't perfect. The Republican Party is rage-inducing at times. But the Democrat Party is not it. This is not your home. Okay? Ilhan Omar. What is an Ilhan Omar? Well, she's somebody who openly celebrated September 11th and said some people did something and just kind of brushed it off. She liked it. She actually argued on behalf of ISIS members in her district. Her district is filled with Somalis. She's a Somali scammer herself. She went from a $15,000 or $50,000 net worth to a $30 million net worth. No explanation for that, by the way. Her scumbag, dirtbag husband is the one who's ran the fake wineries, runs the fake consulting firm, is able to smuggle all of the cash in the fraud, Somali-linked fraud. Where do you think the money's going, right? When Ilhan Omar writes these fraud bills, she, of course, married her brother. She engaged in immigration fraud. And, well, she's a great representative from Somalia because she's a total scammer. She's one of the worst, nastiest people in Congress. And actually, there was a time when Marjorie Taylor Greene was calling out Ilhan Omar, just to show you exactly how transactional this all is. But, you know, those times are done now because, you know, calling out Ilhan Omar on the left doesn't get you booked on The View and CNN. So here's Ilhan Omar on a recent podcast saying, no, it is totally time to embrace Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace and everybody who's turned on
that
Trump.
we can trust to safeguard what is good
Reminder,
about our
Ilhan Omar's
country.
a Marxist.
And I believe the thing that has been very fascinating, especially about Marjorie and Candace, is that they are not just coming out like the other ones that you'd mentioned, where they're saying this action is wrong, right? They're saying, I am done with you.
Yeah, it's like a values-based. Like,
Right.
this guy is bad.
Yeah.
Not like this policy is bad.
Right. And I think that we should give them credit for that. The fact that they've had this wake-up call to finally seeing this con man, this corrupt, chaotic man for what he is. The fact that they understand that he never really had any principles outside of uplifting his ego. They finally understand that his run for the presidency has never really been about America or, you know, keeping with the traditions of what it means to be a president of the United States and moving this country forward. It was always about how do I enrich myself. It was always about a grievance politics, or he was upset that Obama was mocking him.
How do I enrich myself? Have you ever studied Ilhan Omar's winery? You know, she calls Trump a con man. Ilhan Omar has a fake winery. It's not real. It's not in business. She claims it's worth $5 million. It's not. I called the numbers. I went viral by just going to Google Maps and showing people this ain't real. Why is nobody investigating this? Well, it turns out maybe Ilhan Omar will be investigated. Vice President tells me that she's committed immigration fraud. But she's here calling Trump a fraud. She's here claiming that Trump's only doing this to enrich himself. Yet her net worth has gone up to $30 million. Goodness gracious. Comer requests financial records of companies linked to Ilhan Omar's husband. Oof. Okay, Ilhan Omar said she found Marjorie Taylor Greene before she left Congress and thanked her for her willingness to speak up and to have a responsibility to end the financial and political support for Israel.
To speak up about what the people in Gaza have experienced and what our tax dollars have allowed to take place, as we all worked really hard to say that we have a responsibility to end this genocide and to end our financial and political support for Israel and the impunity that we have constantly provided for them.
Everybody's got their own take on these issues. But I got to tell you, man, I'm not liking the coalition that I'm seeing build here. Not that anybody on the right like trusts or cares about Marjorie Taylor Greene anymore. It's like so openly and grotesquely transactional. Was such just a repulsive turn from going from Trump was right about everything. Trump was right about everything to 25th Amendment. This was in the time span of a year. We all know women like this. This is in the time span of a year, right? This is sociopathic. You can disagree with Trump on stuff. I do. You can disagree with the administration. I do. I say so on the channel. I have a list. So like it is what it is. Nobody's perfect. But to do this, you know, is like it deserved to be called out. It's totally and completely pathological. Marjorie Taylor Greene running to The View. I find this so remarkable. So Ilhan Omar may say that, but she would immediately put Marjorie Taylor Greene in a camp if given the opportunity, right? So like it's different for these people. And we just watched it happen with The View. The View was on, like, praising Marjorie Taylor Greene.
They say that you're slamming Republicans too much. Well, you're taking my job.
You know, and then what happens the next day? You know, they're all like loving and embracing Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then the next day, The View savagely attacks Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then turns against her and attacks her and says, screw this lady. That's the way they look at you. They'll never view you as one of them. This is tribal. Like it's important to understand that politics is tribal and that there's legitimate bridges that can be built with people like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK, who I think have done incredible jobs in the Trump administration. But when you are talking about the hardened woke
you're the
left,
first one.
they will. It doesn't matter how much you grovel and beg and worship and kiss their feet. That boot will be used to crush you, even if you're licking it.
I've been on for 20 minutes. You guys are the first one.
Because you committed the mortal sin of not being one of them. The fact that you voted for Trump one time will be enough.
Mom all set up, Lucy.
And so, don't trust the olive branches from people like Ilhan Omar. She already comes from a family of war criminals. Hopefully she's going back, but who knows? What the vice president tells me, and this is the side that I'm on, deport Ilhan Omar. That's my side, right? I don't want Ilhan Omar's praise. I will never accept it. But the side I'm on is with the vice president. I'm asking him about Ilhan Omar, and he's like, she committed criminal immigration fraud and deserves to be kicked out of America. Right. Here we go. Talk about Ilhan Omar and Tim Walz.
Exactly.
And obviously, Ilhan Omar, the president and the White House have been out saying that she married her brother, that there is immigration fraud going on here. These are deportable denaturalization offenses. Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, so we actually think that Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud against the United States of America. And I talked to Stephen Miller about this actually recently. We're trying to look at what the remedies are. That's the thing that we're trying to figure out is what are the legal remedies now that we know that she's committed immigration fraud? How do you go after her? How do you investigate her? How do you actually do the thing? How do you build a case necessary to get some justice for the American people? There's a related issue, Benny, which is she has been at the center of a lot of the worst fraudsters in the Somalian community. So do I know that Ilhan Omar was aware that the Quality Leering Center was defrauding the American people? I'm not certain of it, but we at least need to investigate it, because if people can commit wrongdoing without even the fear that they're going to be found out, that's a fundamental problem. So I'm worried about the immigration fraud. I'm also worried about what did Ilhan Omar know about what was happening in the Somali community, and why was nobody looking into it until, frankly, Donald Trump came along.
Okay, so I did the first couple videos and didn't talk to Kay yet, but I got a lot of good stuff. I got not much going on, and but so let's watch my games. Kind of cold outside today. Off and on rain, I think. Cold. But I do got a two. Does everybody like that Holly lady or not? Because she has a guy that she has a 2-part video about a lot of stuff. It might be good to play. So we'll play that halfway through. But the next 4 clips is going to be a senator talking about Obama. I don't know if you guys seen these next 4. I'll probably come back on tonight. Yeah. Well, let's play this real quick.
Self. We spend so much of life chasing approval, fitting into shapes that were never ours, walking paths paved by other people's expectations. But have you noticed? The more you chase what pleases them, the further you drift from what fulfills you. The universe gave you a compass, not in your pocket, but in your chest. Your intuition is the echo of the cosmos whispering through you. And yet, how often do we trust our fear more than we trust that quiet knowing? Do not fear walking alone. Do not fear growing alone. Because to stand in your own light is to remember the truth. Those who are meant for your journey will find you as you will find them.
How's that one? Okay, the first clip of Obama on the senator. I believe it's this one. See if you guys remember playing this one or not.
Repeatedly, confidently, almost aggressively, that Barack Obama ran the cleanest White House in modern American history.
All right.
Scandal-free, ethical, above reproach. The media said it. His advisors said it. He said it himself with a straight face, looking directly into the camera. And for a long time, a lot of people believed it because the press wasn't going to tell you otherwise.
3 minutes.
The late night hosts weren't going to touch it. The newspapers that spent years breathlessly covering every Republican misstep went quiet, turned the page, looked the other way. But here's the thing about secrets. They don't stay buried forever. And what's coming out now, what has already come out, is enough to make your head spin. So today we're going to go through it, all of it. From the scandals that were buried while he was still in office, to the bombshell allegations being made right now in 2025 and 2026 by sitting officials in the United States government. We're not going to rush. We're going to take our time because this story deserves to be told properly, and the American people deserve to finally hear it told honestly. Let's start at the very beginning. Because even before Barack Obama set foot in the Oval Office, there were warning signs, signs that the press chose to ignore because they were too invested in the narrative. The narrative of the young, brilliant, post-racial candidate who was going to heal America and change the world, that narrative was worth too much to risk with inconvenient questions. So the questions didn't get asked. And the American people walked into 8 years of this presidency essentially blind. The first thing you need to understand about Obama is that he was a politician who built his entire brand on transparency and accountability. That was the pitch. Hope and change. A new kind of politics. He stood in front of crowds and told them he was going to run the most open administration in American history. He said government should be accountable to the people. He said secrecy was the enemy of democracy. Those were his words. Remember them. Because what followed was one of the most secretive, stonewalling, obstruction-heavy administrations in living memory. And I'm not saying that 47 of his own inspectors general said it. 47. These are the government's internal watchdogs, the people whose entire job is to make sure the executive branch is following the law. And in 2014, 47 of Obama's 73 inspectors general signed an open letter saying the administration was actively blocking their investigations. Not one or two, 47. That letter should have been front page news everywhere. It wasn't. Most Americans never heard about it. Ask yourself why. Now let's talk about the scandals one by one, because each one on its own is significant. Let me tell you something.
Okay, the first clip. What do you guys think so far? Yeah.
The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, a law so
Four-part,
poorly constructed, so full of internal contradictions that premiums skyrocketed, deductibles went through the roof, and millions of Americans who were told they could keep their doctor and keep their plan found out the hard way that they couldn't keep either. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. That sentence alone should have been disqualifying. It wasn't an exaggeration. It wasn't a simplification. It was a lie.
Thanks,
A deliberate, repeated, documented lie told directly to the American people to sell a bill that couldn't sell itself on its merits. But again, the media looked the other way. Beyond Obamacare, what was left? A patchwork of executive orders, regulations, international agreements that weren't treaties and therefore had no binding legal force. The Paris Climate Agreement, which he celebrated as a transformative achievement, was structured deliberately to avoid Senate ratification because he knew it would never pass. He called it a victory. The American people called it what it was: a president bypassing the legislative branch because he couldn't convince even members of his own party to go along with him. That is not strength. That is weakness dressed up in a very good suit. And then there is the political record, the actual documented political record that Obama's supporters refused to discuss. Under Barack Obama, the Democratic Party suffered the most catastrophic electoral collapse of any party under any president in modern American history. They lost over 1,000 seats, state legislatures, governor's offices, the House, the Senate. By the time Obama left office, the Democratic Party was a coastal rump party, hollowed out in the middle of the country, with no bench, no farm system, and no message that connected with working Americans. He campaigned brilliantly. He governed in a way that made his own party unelectable everywhere that mattered. And then this is the part that should infuriate every Democrat who ever believed in him. He endorsed Hillary Clinton, watched her lose to Donald Trump, and then quietly began positioning himself as an elder statesman above the fray. The man who broke the party walked away from the wreckage without a scratch, at least in the media's telling. But the people knew. The people in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, the people who had voted for Obama twice and then pulled the lever for Donald Trump, they knew they weren't racists, whatever the commentariat wanted to say about them. They were people who had waited for the hope and change and had watched 8 years go by without it arriving. They were people whose factories had closed, whose wages had stagnated, whose opioid ravaged community. One major piece of.
Okay, now the third part. One more after this.
Picture starts to emerge. And that picture is not of a scandal-free presidency. It's of an administration that was very, very good at making sure its scandals didn't get the coverage they deserved. Start with Operation Fast and Furious. This one should have ended careers. It should have been the kind of story that dominated the news cycle for months. What happened was this. The Obama Justice Department, under Eric Holder, ran a program in which they allowed thousands of guns to be purchased by straw buyers and then deliberately allowed those guns to walk, that's the term they used, walk into the hands of Mexican drug cartels. The stated logic was that they would track these guns and build cases against the cartels. But here's the problem. They lost the guns, thousands of weapons, just gone, in the hands of some of the most violent criminal organizations on the planet. And then one of those guns turned up at a crime scene in Arizona where Border Patrol agent Brian Terry had been shot and killed, a federal law enforcement officer, dead because of a program run out of the Obama Justice Department. Congress wanted answers. They subpoenaed documents. Eric Holder refused to hand them over. Congress held him in contempt, the first sitting attorney general in American history to be held in contempt of Congress. And what did the Obama administration do? They invoked executive privilege to shield those documents from investigators. Executive privilege, the same legal tool they accused Republicans of abusing. And the press? The press largely moved on. Brian Terry's family didn't get justice. The full truth never fully came out. And Barack Obama got to keep his scandal-free reputation. Then there's the IRS. And I want you to really think about this one, because it is arguably the most chilling abuse of government power we have seen in decades. Under Obama's IRS, conservative groups, Tea Party organizations, liberty groups, groups with words like patriot or constitution in their name, were systematically targeted for extra scrutiny when they applied for tax-exempt status. We're talking about ordinary Americans who wanted to organize, who wanted to participate in their democracy, who wanted to exercise their First Amendment rights. And the federal government used the power of the IRS to slow them down, frustrate them, bury them in paperwork, demand their donor lists, ask them what books they were reading. This is not a conspiracy theory. This was confirmed. Lois Lerner, the IRS official at the center of it, admitted the targeting happened. Then she went before Congress, invoked the Fifth Amendment, and refused to answer any more questions. The Justice Department under Obama refused to prosecute her. She retired with her full, but when you lay them all out together.
Okay, last part.
What has happened to Barack Obama over the last several years, the unraveling of his reputation, the dismantling of his legacy, the exposure of what actually went on inside his administration, none of it surprises me, not one bit. Because when you build a presidency on illusion, eventually the curtain gets pulled back. And when it does, it doesn't matter how many magazine covers you were on, how many standing ovations you received, how many times the media called you the smartest man in the room. Reality has a way of settling the score. Let's go back, because to understand where we are today, you have to understand where this all started. October 2009, Barack Obama has been president for less than a year. He hasn't done a single significant thing yet in office. The economy is hemorrhaging jobs. Americans are scared. And what does this president do? He flies Air Force One to Copenhagen to personally lobby the International Olympic Committee to bring the 2016 games to Chicago. He brings Michelle. He gives the full performance. He talks about himself, his identity, what the Olympics would mean to him personally. It was a masterclass in narcissism dressed up as civic pride. And then in front of the entire world, the IOC eliminated Chicago in the very first round of voting. First round, before they even selected the host continent. The President of the United States flew to Europe, put his personal prestige on the line, and got bounced in round one like a regional Little League team. A major network anchor called it a kick in the pants for the president. And that right there, that moment in Copenhagen, that was the tell. That was the moment you could see, if you were paying attention, exactly who Barack Obama was. A man who believed the sheer force of his own celebrity could substitute for preparation, for strategy, for competence. It couldn't then, it never could. And the years that followed proved it over and over again. But the media didn't want you to see it. That's the part of this story that never gets told, honestly. For 8 years, the American press operated as a kind of personal protection agency for Barack Obama. They were not reporters. They were guardians. Any criticism of his policies was coded as racial animus. Any scrutiny of his record was dismissed as bad faith. And so millions of Americans went through 2 full terms of his presidency without ever getting a clear-eyed accounting of what was actually happening. Well, we're getting that accounting now, and it is not pretty. Let's talk about the legacy, the word his supporters love, the legacy, as if saying it enough times makes it real. What exactly is the Obama legacy? Let's be honest about it. He passed one major,
Okay, so I don't know who that guy was, but that just came out today, you guys. Thought that was a very important 4-part clip. I got a 4-minute cue that just came out. Harold.
I am Q. Wow. So Donald Trump seems to be dedicated fully to having his DOJ push the envelope as it pertains to these criminals in our country, not the illegal aliens as much.
What do you think
which
those
of course
last
he's
4
dedicated
clips?
to that, but he seems to really be wanting to push the envelope against the people who have perpetrated the greatest crimes against the United States, and those are the people who have meddled in elections and have committed treason. So I'll explain to you why I say this. So Donald Trump, since the exit of Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche taking over, it seems like this new DOJ has streamlined. They have gotten rid of the cases, dropped cases that were sluggish, slowing the country
Flying
down.
eagles out in the
Things
woods.
that weren't going to end up in significant sentences. So I'll give you the case that was dropped yesterday against Jerome Powell. Now, Jerome Powell is still not out of the woods. The Inspector General has still continued his investigation on why the building went up in cost over $1 billion more than what they had originally said. So that's still going to be under investigation. But we see cases like John Brennan's case, where they took the U.S. attorney off of that because he was slow walking it, and they want this case to go to trial immediately. But then today, the interesting conversation that was had, Todd Blanche going before the media in saying that Donald Trump is now dedicated to bringing back firing squads. Now, that's interesting because sometimes people just brush over these things and don't actually pay attention. Donald Trump has made it extremely clear that he wants to see military tribunals. He wants to see people pay for their traitorous behavior. He also came out today, Donald Trump did, and said that if the Southern Poverty Law Firm is found guilty, then the 2020 election needs to be off the books, because clearly they were involved in the meddling of 2020. And so is it interesting that Donald Trump makes this announcement about the Southern Poverty Law Firm? And then in addition to that, we start to see these changes to the death penalty in the United States. And forgive me, I know before you guys come after me, the Southern Poverty Law Center, not the law firm. But I find it interesting that we're seeing all of these changes all at once, and it actually excites me a little bit. I think we're finally on the road to see real change in this country, and I believe that it is going to be imperative for Donald Trump to have some real change and real arrest and real justice between now and the midterms. The people demand it. The people want to see it. They don't want to see any more talk. They don't want to hear any more talk. They want action. And I believe Donald Trump realizes this, and I believe this summer is going to be the summer of action. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. I'll see you guys next time.
And he just came out with that 5-minute one.
Not scientists, not doctors. When you find out who's really behind those numbers, everything changes. Here's something that might ruin your day. Those expiration dates on your food, they're basically made up. I'm not joking. The entire system was invented in the 1970s, and not because anyone was getting sick. Grocery stores wanted an easier way to rotate their stock. That's it. Before these little stamped numbers existed, your grandma would shake the milk carton, sniff the bread, and trust her own judgment. She was doing just fine. But then the food industry realized something clever. Products labeled fresh sell for more money. Suddenly, everyone needed dates on everything.
Which one is that?
Here's where it gets ridiculous. There's no federal law requiring expiration dates on most foods in America. The only exception? Infant formula. That's the single product legally required to carry a date. Everything else, completely voluntary. And it gets worse. About 20 different labeling systems exist across the country because each state just does whatever it wants. California has different rules than Texas. New York disagrees with Florida. It's chaos dressed up as consumer protection. My favorite part? The original purpose had absolutely nothing to do with telling you when food becomes dangerous. Zero. Zip. Nada. It was inventory management for store managers, not safety guidance for families. Yet somehow, we've all been trained to treat these arbitrary numbers like sacred commandments. The milk hits its date? Straight to the trash. Yogurt says next Tuesday? Better not risk it. We've become prisoners to a system that was never designed to protect us in the first place. Makes you wonder what else we've been getting wrong, right? Well, those confusing phrases stamped alongside the dates are even more misleading. Sell by, best by, use by. They sound official and scientific, but the truth behind what each one actually means? That's where the real money-wasting confusion begins. Here's the thing most people get wrong. They see sell by and panic. They see best buy and toss everything in the trash. They see use by and act like the food will explode at midnight. But these labels mean completely different things. Sell by is literally just a note for the grocery store. It tells the teenager stocking shelves when to rotate products to the back. That's it. It has absolutely nothing to do with when you should throw food away. I learned this the hard way after tossing perfectly good yogurt for years like some kind of dairy-disposing maniac. Best Buy is about quality, not safety. It's the manufacturer saying, hey, this tastes optimal before this date. After that, still perfectly fine. Just maybe not quite as crunchy or flavorful. Your cereal from 3 months ago won't hurt you. It just might be slightly less exciting, which, let's be honest, describes most cereal anyway. Now, use by is the only one worth taking seriously. This label actually suggests a safety concern. You'll find it mostly on deli meats and unpasteurized products, things that can genuinely make you sick. But here's the wild part. Roughly 80% of Americans don't understand the difference. 80%! We're out here throwing away perfectly good food because some marketing team picked confusing words. And manufacturers? They can use whichever phrase they want. There's no standardized system. No rules requiring specific terminology. A few months ago, I had no idea what a health ring even was until my fiancé got me one. And I have to say, I am shocked this isn't a widely known and used product. It tracks my stress levels, and what I found out is that each time I took certain medication,
I thought that was an important one to play about the food dates expiration. Mel comes out Saturday night or Sunday night, and then Wednesday. So when we come on tonight, hopefully she'll have one out tonight. But yeah, she hasn't been posting nothing this week. Minute left. Hey, did you hear videos? Flying Eagles in the woods.
I hope you enjoyed the clip. Feel free to give me a follow if you want to see more content like this. I share everything from theology, funny stuff, world events, politics, you name it. If I find it interesting, I like to share it.
That's a new guy there. That was good. You get your password yet? And I played a 4-minute, 3-minute part of Obama. Was really good. It just came out. I got I'm gonna probably play a 2-part Holly video. This guy that she had on was good. I don't know if he came across that or let me know when we start on that and see if we should play it or not. Flying Eagles in the Woods. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get nobody in after the 10-minute mark. Okay, where are we at? Oh, this one here. You guys like Dr. Scott Young? 7 minutes.
Population. I get these videos from people all the time.
Be
say
okay.
that we're already in the tribulation. The tribulation's already begun. The tribulation happened in 70 AD. And here's one of the things that they miss. They haven't even looked at the over 600 verses of the Bible that explain the tribulation. You see, the tribulation is a 7-year period discussed over and over and over again
Good to know.
in all of the cool verses of the Bible. 2 Timothy 3:16 says, all scripture is God-breathed, the proof for teaching and reproof. You can't just skip over the verses. The people who say that we're in the tribulation, or we have skipped over the tribulation, or we've not had the tribulation for whatever reason, they skip over verses like Revelation 4 to Revelation 19. Those verses have not occurred yet. And so if you want to know whether we have had the tribulation or whether we are going into whether we've had the tribulation or we're in the tribulation, and you don't know whether or not that makes any sense, I point you to those verses or those chapters and say, if you want to know if that person is a false teacher, and it's called in Greek a pseudo teacher, which means like this teacher, well, then that's a very simple way to do it. Do they actually include those verses? I'm not talking about Revelation 2, Revelation 3, Revelation 4 to Revelation 19. You see, over and over again, those are the foundational points that set up the time frame. There are 21 foundational judgments that we have to go through. Daniel goes over this over and over again. So we have to take all of the verses, all the way from Genesis through Daniel, through Ezekiel, and it gives us all of the richness of Scripture. When we know what we're talking about in that time frame, we start to understand it. We start to internalize why they say what they're saying. Yes, there is a conversation of 3.5 years, which is the Great Tribulation. But there is also a conversation about a 7-year period of time. And it comes up, it doesn't just come up in Daniel 9:27. It comes up in Ezekiel 38 and 39. It comes up in the way that the Gospels bring up the gorgeous level of the 7 days that the wedding feast is happening. There's just so many beautiful ways that God tries to explain the tribulation. And see, some people think, well, we're already in a tough time frame. We've already lived through very hard time frames. And I go, listen, you think we're in tribulational time frames? In Luke 12, I want to say 47 and 48, it talks about tribulation. What that is, in especially 47 and 48, when it talks about tribulation, that is talking about so much pressure. When you talk about that, is so much pressure is this smashing, and this is in sign language, a smashing together to the level of death. When you look at Matthew 24, where Jesus is talking to the Jews, you always have to look at the audience. When Jesus is talking to the Jews, it says in Matthew 24, if the days were not shortened, no flesh would survive. When I've spent thousands and thousands of hours reading those verses so many thousands of times, all of the verses of the Bible that talk about end time issues, I haven't just read them 4 or 5 times like some of these people have done. Thousands of times over 45 years of studying this kind of thing. I always go into the depth of them and spend, each one of those time frames. For instance, the 5th trumpet, I think I've spent time in the Revelation 9, 1 through about 14. I probably would stay in those kinds of time frames each time that I would go into it. I will probably stay in there for 4 months, just sitting in those verses and marinating over them. And it's very difficult because when I'm inside of those verses, I just go, holy cow, it's too crazy. You have never been through verses like these. They are absolutely future verses. They have not occurred, and they are 7 years long. Promise. If you want to understand them more, you can always go to drscottyoung.com. Thanks so much.
So I haven't played him in a long
Dr. Scott
time.
Young. And today
I hope that one was okay. So I looked on the News Force channel, Maria, and they had that Holly part 1 and part 2. So yeah, we're going to play that here in a little bit. There's no Billy Bean yet.
Or her tour, TPUSA tour with JD Vance.
A lot of good stuff out again today.
She canceled it because she was getting death threats, and I don't believe that.
From surprising places, perhaps. Tell us what you think about that. Some of the people that have made, part-time jobs out of attacking Erica, and this is the net result.
Sure. Well, first of all, I love Erica, and I know that she did get some threats. And, about 2 hours ago, as you know, Andrew, I was a little worried that we were going to have to cancel the event because Erica was not going to come, and she was very worried about it. And I talked to the Secret Service, and obviously these guys do a very good job. And I said, you know what? Let's let Erica do what she needs to do for herself and her family. I'm sure Andrew will fill in. And let's go and make this an amazing event with the Georgia Bulldogs in Athens, Georgia.
I think she canceled because she knows how the world sees her now, and she's also afraid to answer questions like in the clip
This
that
is a
we
new
saw.
lady on TikTok.
And also the ticket sales were low, so I think she was ashamed to admit that no one is supporting her anymore, and she was angry. And she made it up that there were threats. In case TPUSA and Erica Kirk don't know why people don't support them anymore, I'm here to tell you that we have seen through you. We know your true intentions. You're all about the money and power and influence. And here is what Charlie had to say about giving people power to see their true colors.
Words of wisdom for today.
Power shows the man. You want to find out a lot about somebody, give them a bunch of power. Power shows the man.
Swipe up, hit subscribe.
To the Charlie Kirk Show.
What do you guys think of all of this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe, please. It helps my channel a lot if you're subscribed. And see you in my next one. Bye.
That's the new one there. This guy coming up good. Speaker.
That says because of their open border policies, that 1 out of every 4 women can be expected to be raped. These are things that I think as city council make it difficult for ICE to find. I need time back on the clock. I need my minute back. No, I need my minute back. No. They interrupted me. I need my minute back. How you gonna do that? How you gonna do that, bro? Y'all a bunch of communists in here, a bunch of Marxist suppressing speech. You work for me. Understand that I pay your salary. You suppressing speech. You disrespecting me, letting them do this. You're a communist. You's a commie. Every single one of you. Deport every single one of them. Deport every single one of them. America first. Deport every single one of them. Bunch of commies.
So what just happened in the city council chamber?
So they just
well
got me out of
said.
city council because I asked for more time. I started getting booed in there. probably 5-10 seconds into my speech. As soon as I asked for more time, President Kenyatta weaponized them in there, and I shot it back at him, and he kicked me out.
Why don't they want you speaking?
Because they fear that I'm gonna wake up the masses. They know when I come in there, I got a big social media platform. If I educate everybody, tell everybody what's really going on, they fear that they're gonna lose their voter base. In regard to these ICE out bills.
That was a good speaker.
That is how much revenue United Health Group pulled in last year, making it not just the largest company in Minnesota, but one of the 5 largest companies on the planet by revenue. It is bigger than the entire gross domestic product of Finland. And over the past 18 months, this corporate titan has quietly moved roughly 2,000 jobs out of its home state, shipping positions from its Minnetonka headquarters to offices in Dallas, Texas, and Nashville, Tennessee. No press conference, no dramatic announcement, just a slow, steady migration of talent, tax revenue, and economic gravity away from the state that built it. The question is why? And the answer sits in a single line of Minnesota's 2023 tax code. In May of 2023, Governor Tim Walz signed an omnibus tax bill that included a provision that corporate tax attorneys had been dreading for years, called Worldwide Combined Reporting. Under the old system, a multinational corporation operating in Minnesota only had to report and pay state taxes on the income it earned domestically, often through carefully structured subsidiaries. Under the new rule, Minnesota could now reach further, requiring companies to report income from all global subsidiaries and affiliates when calculating their state tax obligation. The provision was projected to generate between $300 million and $500 million in new annual revenue for the state. Supporters called it a fairness measure, closing loopholes that let the biggest companies shelter profits overseas. But for a company like United Health, which operates in more than 150 countries through its Optum division and various insurance arms, the math changed overnight. Minnesota had just made itself significantly more expensive for exactly the kind of sprawling global enterprise it was supposed to be proud of hosting. United Health Group did not issue a public statement condemning the tax. It did not threaten to leave. What it did was far more consequential. Beginning in late 2023 and accelerating through 2024 and into 2025, the company began reallocating headcount. Technology roles that had been based at the Minnetonka campus started showing up on job boards listed in Dallas. Corporate strategy positions previously tied to Minnesota migrated to Nashville. Internal postings on LinkedIn and employee forums tell the story more clearly than any press release could. New hires for United Health's fastest growing divisions are overwhelmingly being placed in Texas and Tennessee. Neither state levies a personal income tax. Texas has no corporate income tax. Tennessee eliminated its Hall tax on investment income back in 2021. For a company employing north of 400,000 people globally and constantly recruiting top-tier technology and analytics talent, the calculus of where to grow was not complicated. The roughly 2,000 positions that have shifted so far represent a fraction of United Health's total Minnesota workforce, which still numbers in the tens of thousands. Company spokespeople have said that United Health remains deeply committed to Minnesota and that Minnetonka is still the official headquarters. That is technically true. The corporate address has not changed. The sign still stands. But operational reality is diverging from the letterhead. The Nashville office, which United Health has been expanding since 2022, now houses a significant portion of the company's Optum Health leadership. Dallas has become a hub for technology development and data analytics, with the company leasing additional office space in the Metroplex through 2024. When Stephen Hemsley returned as chief executive in May of 2025, after Andrew Whitty's abrupt resignation, he did not make any public commitment to consolidating leadership back in Minnesota. Industry analysts noted that Hemsley, a longtime United Health insider, has historically favored operational flexibility over geographic loyalty. Now, some will argue this is not about taxes at all. And there is a reasonable case to be made. Dallas and Nashville are two of the fastest growing metro areas in the country, with deep talent pools, lower costs of living, and business ecosystems that have been attracting corporate investment for a decade. Nashville in particular has become a healthcare industry capital in its own right, with HCA Healthcare, community health systems, and dozens of major health tech firms already based there. United Health expanding in Nashville could simply be a company going where the talent and the industry cluster already exist. $371 billion.
Okay, I thought that was an important one, I hope, for everybody. I got the news guy at TikTok. I got two of them. I can't find the 8-minute, but I want to play the 3-minute one. I got another video on Obama. Obama Day. Yeah, I got another one of him.
Back. It's early in the morning here in California, but 8:20 a.m. This is I'm HG Gerner in HD. This is EPAC, the news you need. This is in response to a post, Mr. Boyer. This is VL Boyer on X. Kind of interesting. It's a repost by Illuminati Bot put it up. It's actually a repost. A person has been pulled over by the car, and you're showing this big sign. I remain silent. They put a sign on the window and their driver's license. I remain silent. No searches. I want my lawyer. Put the ticket underneath my windshield wiper. I will not talk to you. I will not communicate, etc. I cannot tell you how serious this is. It's beyond stupid. There's really no definition of how dangerous this could escalate, and it will escalate in a matter of seconds. The police officer, for the most part, has got to maintain control and maintain the public safety for the person driving the car, the people inside the car, the police officer, the people surrounding the area. Maybe they're in a parking lot. It doesn't mean if they didn't have to be on the street, on the side, or off the side of the road. The police officer is going to want to maintain control. And here's the interesting point. What part of that is the person could have been pulled over for a number of reasons, but he's got to be able to look inside the car and determine that everything's okay. Okay. When the person doesn't roll down the car and they put up a sign, piece of paper, I'm not going to roll down my lawyer. I want my lawyer. I'm not going to communicate with you. It's going to escalate in a nanosecond. What's going to happen? Here's the thing I want to say. The person inside the car could produce a weapon. That's what the officer is going to have to assume. Well, what's going on here? This is going to turn up the volume real quick.
Oh.
Because if the person could produce a weapon,
something fell out of my
kitchen. The people inside the car, the passengers, the officer.
Sorry.
It doesn't matter. Something has to be taken care of. Or there's got to be communication. Something could happen in a nanosecond. And that's when it's a police officer's duty to maintain the public safety. Communication is vital. If that person inside that car won't roll down that window, and they put up this thing, shut up, I'm not talking to anybody, put the ticket underneath the window, it's going to escalate in a nanosecond. The police officer is going to bust the window, open the door, pull the person out of the car. That's just the way it is. Public safety is paramount, even for the person driving the car.
Okay, I got his second one from early this morning, 8 minutes.
It is April 25th, the year of our Lord 2026. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm putting together a set of plans. I'm a builder. I took a little break and had a bite to eat. It's really early in the morning, about 3 a.m. And I did a little scrolling on on X.
Cool,
And
baby.
this is in response to a young man who has a master's degree. It was from the, if you go to Matrix Mysteries, that's, it's a repost. This guy put out talking about, he showed a young man that is unbelievably frustrated. He's graduated from college and he has a master's degree. Took him the better part of 6 to 8 years, okay? But he can't find a job. Stay with me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is April 25th, the year of our Lord 2026. I'm your host, H.G. Gerner. This is EPAC, the news you need. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to watch this and watch it a couple of times if you have to. This young man's frustration. I'm replying. This is in reply to the post on X by Matrix Mysteries. This young man got an education. And here's the point that I want to make. He is so undeniably frustrated. He's put out over 300 applications. He's only got 11 replies. And even Walmart denied him a cashier's job. He has a master's degree. The universities have become junkyards. What we have right now is what's called gradflation. Out of the approximately 9 to 10 million young men and women that have graduated from college with master's degrees in the last 10 years, we estimate a minimum of 4 million can't find jobs worth their degree. They can't even hardly find jobs. They can't find jobs. They're doing anything they possibly can to pay their rent and pay their bills and pay their student loan. Many of them are in debt of over $100,000. Wait to the next 5 to 6 years. Watch what happens. A lot of this has to do with the increased inflation rate that the universities are charging. They're churning these kids out. This is a huge problem. You're going to find people, well, I won't prophesize or, try to speculate, but this is a huge problem. I think we would have to probably look at it in a humanitarian way or a societal way. What's going to happen to our society or socioeconomic base? This is not going to do the United States any good. And especially it's not going to do these young, bright, young folks, young adults. What are they going to do? This young man that I just watched is so frustrated. It broke my heart. It really did. One of the things that one of the most regretted degrees is humanitarian degrees, or in the humanities, English and philosophy, stuff like this. This guy, I don't know what he got a degree in. I think I didn't hear what, I don't quite remember what he said, but he's got a master's degree. But if you get a master's degree in humanities, philosophy, or gender studies, or philosophy, or social justice, et cetera, you're going to be in deep, deep trouble. You won't find a job anywhere. If you get a degree in engineering or possibly sociology, You might be able to, in sociology, you might be able to find a job, maybe in your local county behavioral health department. If you get a degree in engineering, you might be able to get a job with a construction company, or maybe even the government. Depends. The government is saturated with bureaucrats. They're holding on to jobs. This young man, it frustrates the heck out of me. And it concerns me deeply. Close to 4 million, approximately 4 million students right now, bright young minds, ready to rock and roll, worked hard, sacrificed, can't find jobs. This is not going to get any better anytime soon. We need to bring industry back. Here's the interesting point. Just in the last year or so, Donald Trump is trying everything he possibly can to bring manufacturing, building, all chip making, engineering back to the United States. For the last 4 years before him, Biden was shipping everything out. In fact, that's even Obama started that. The inflation got so bad that businesses couldn't stay in business, so they had to ship all their manufacturing out of the country. You know how many manufacturing plants the auto dealers have in Mexico? 27. That's just the Chinese manufacturers. 27 major plants. Here's the thing. A lot of them are coming back. This is what Donald Trump is trying to do. Bring all that manufacturing back. Incentives. Look what Apple did. They committed almost $1 trillion just a few months ago. They said, we're going to double our take. We're going to commit not 500 billion. We're going to commit another 400 or 500 billion to bring manufacturing back to the United States. Then we have chip makers, etc., all kinds of stuff. It's going to start to happen, and it's got to happen quick. But I'm telling you right now, thank your lucky stars. Trump is in office right now. Even though the cost of gas is a little high, it's going to come back down. Trust me, it's going to come back down. Food's going to come back down. It will. This is cyclical. In fact, the inflation rate during the Biden administration was off the charts. Right now, it's high, but it will come down. It's not near as high as what the Biden administration had it at. This is going to get better. Hang in there. Get your education, but you might want to think about hanging on to your dough. Watch as this plays out. Keep working. Keep your nose to the grindstone. We will win this war. God bless.
Okay, 2 good ones from him today. All right, let's see. She's in a better mood today. She came out with 2 of them, a 5 and a 3. Then we'll play the last Obama video that I had.
I can't do that. I know you're not going to stay. I'm asking you to stay just for 1 minute. If I get people to stay for 1 minute and each 1,000 views, I think it's 4 cents. We don't make a lot of money here on TikTok. I haven't made but a little bit of change, but I'm hoping that will change. I need to tell you why I do what I do. The people that message me and say, hey, why do you keep rescuing these cats? What's going on? Let me tell you a quick story. I'm going to do this as quick as I can. My mother was not an educated woman. She never finished school, and she really was not smart. However, she knew every psychological warfare tactic to use. She would have been amazing in the military against the enemy because she broke me as a child without any no waterboard or anything like that, mostly mental. When I was younger, I had cats. They were not vetted. They were not taken care of. There was one point I was sitting in the house one night, and I had found a kitten in a ditch, brought it home. We heard a bunch of dogs running up under the trailer. We could hear the kitten screaming. I go to run outside. Mama tells me, don't go outside. Those big dogs are out there. My daddy continues watching football on television while the stray dogs that ran out of the house rip my kitten into 1,000 pieces. The next morning, I get ready to go to church. I don't know the kitten's dead. I heard it screaming. I'm only like 7 years old. I go out there. I'm calling the kitten. I have to get on the school bus. I come home. Mama tells me that she raped the kitten up in pieces and put it in the burn pile. There was another incident that I had a tortie that was so sick. I was only 5 years old. She lived behind the shed. I loved her so much. I picked her up one day to give her hugs and kisses. And I got to tell you this without crying because I have makeup on and mascara and fake eyelashes and I have to go to work. So I pick my cat up and I'm loving on her and I'm kissing on her belly and she vomits and she poops on me at the same time. Horrific diarrhea. The cat was so sick. I run inside screaming, telling Mama, oh my God, Miss Kitty's sick. Mama tells me, get your goddamn ass in the bath. Don't get any of that shit on anything. I get through taking a bath. I come out. She hands me clean clothes, hands me a cardboard box, duct tape, tells me to go get the cat, put it in the box, duct tape it up. We're taking it off. We drove down the road and she did let me take the duct tape off the box this time. And we let the cat out and put it in the woods and we drove off. I will not tell you how much PTSD I have from this, how much trauma I have from this, how many tears I have cried because I have relived it and it's been over 50 years. I don't know how long went by. It was weeks, I think. And I called that cat every day, crying hysterically, wondering what happened to my cat. One day the cat showed back up. I don't know how long it took her to get there, but she was severely starved. She looked worse than Roderick, if you can imagine that. She had crusty eyes, was so sick, near death. Her skin was hanging off of her. She was dying. But she made her way back to me. I grabbed her up. I was loving all over her. I ran to the door and I screamed, Mama, she's back. She's back. She made it back. I was so happy. Mind you, there was no hiding the cat from my mother. I had to ask her for food because I've asked myself that 1,000 times, but I couldn't hide her from her. Mama goes and gets her handy dandy duct tape and the cardboard box and hands it to me and says, box her up. I guarantee you her ass won't make it back this time. And she did it. This kind of stuff happened all the time, not to mention putting my sister, who was 6 years younger than me, in charge of when I could wear deodorant, in charge of when I could shave my legs. My sister started shaving her legs at 9 years old. I wasn't allowed till I was almost 16 years old to shave my legs, having a dress out in PE, being made fun of. Not allowed to wear deodorant if I pissed her off, so I had to go to school without deodorant. Wouldn't let me wear a bra until one of the teachers said something to her about it. Of course, just anything to terrorize me. Cut my hair herself. Sometimes I would like mow off the Three Stooges, and then she would perm it. So I'd get on the bus, and they would chant, Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy wuzzy. I had problems in school. I was bullied severely, and then sometimes I was the bully, but then I always got my ass beat. Doing psychological warfare against children. Back in our day, a lot of this is like, oh, this is Gen X. No, this went beyond Gen X. Yes, we stayed outside until dark. Yes, we drank from a water hose. Yes, I have all those memories and all those good times. But my parents were completely different. When you ask yourself, why does Teresa keep rescuing these cats? Why doesn't she drive on by? Because I know what it's like to take off a cat, a dog. I know what it's like to see my dog who's still alive thrown into a creek because you don't want to pay a vet bill. I know what it's like to dump cats off in boxes that are duct taped up and see them finally make their way back and starve to death and dying. I know what that's like. I understand this is a mental issue. I'm not stupid. I don't give a shit anymore. I'll admit it. It's a mental issue. How could it not be? But I will tell you this. I did overcome. I was told I would never amount to anything. I was told I would never, ever, ever amount to anything. I would never have anything, that I was retarded, that I was crazy, that I was ugly, not to wear my hair up because my neck was ugly. My legs are horrible. Why are you in shorts? You trying to get somebody to look at you? It was unbelievable abuse. Well, now I can do something about it. Now I can save these animals. Now they don't have to suffer. And if that's what I want to do, then that's what I want to do. It's my life. You know what I'm saying? And if I want to give my last dime to these animals, that's what I'll do. And everybody, I've tried to make this video.
That's sad. Okay, I got a 3-minute one.
the situation with that, let me tell you what really happened. We had some bad information come through. The Islamic regime found out about the woman nurse. It was not the man, it was the woman who was helping the people that had been hurt by the regime. She was helping them in her home. So when they kicked in the door, they started beating the husband half to death. She ran to help the husband. They shot her in the heart, not the forehead. Also, what I want to tell you, they took her cell phone with her body to the morgue. And while they were beating the shit out of him and they put him in prison, they gave him his cell phone and started texting him from her phone the videos and the pictures of them gang raping her. So he's opening up his phone and it looks like it's coming from her, which it is. It's coming from her phone. This is what these sadistic bastards did. Also, I want to let you know, the leader that from Iran that was supposed to meet with Trump's people and do the talks today, he got on a plane and hauled ass. So Trump has put a stop to, he's not sending Jared over there. He's not sending his people over there. The mines. So now the Iranian regime, the Islamics have said that they have just laid mines wherever and the tides are carrying them out wherever. Well, two things. One, they don't have a Navy. They're doing this shit on jet skis and like rowboats and canoes and shit. They are not in control of the strait. We are in control of the strait. They are using psychological warfare just like they do on their own people. Now, here's the other thing. They have told all of their people in Iran to cut your fucking lights off. You're not allowed to keep but one or two lights on your house. We got to preserve power, okay? So none of these people have internet, but some people are able to get out stuff that's happening, and other people are able to get the information back in Iran, what is happening. It is a matter of time. So the word that come on Newsmax this morning from one of these Iranian women who escaped the prison is that the Iranian people are waiting on the exiled prince to say the word. They are waiting on him. As of right now, they don't have any weapons. They don't have nothing. And they're being psychologically just going, they're doing psychological warfare on them. Now, not only that, they just unalived another protester today. I believe it was today, a few hours ago. They just unalived another one. I have said it. Y'all have seen me say it. I will say it another 1,000 times. The Islamic regime is never going to give up. They will unalive everybody in Iran before they give up. Hang tight, guys. Trump is in charge, and so is God. God's in charge, sorry. But Trump's right up under him. Is that wrong to say that? Is somebody going to take that the wrong?
All right. Yep, that's definitely hard to say and help with those animals out there. So we got our last Obama video. Let me know if anybody already seen it. And I don't think we played it. And then I'm going to finish off with the 2-part Holly video. I'm going to come back tonight because I still got a lot more to share. But these two are big ones from Holly.
In Kenya. I know that my approval ratings are still very high in the country of my birth.
Who is his real family? Well, we're not ready for that discussion. Okay.
Whoever faked this was either the most foolish editor ever.
Anybody see this?
Mistakenly allowed access to the layers, or they were a pure genius and they were trying to expose Obama. And well, here it is. I mean, anyone can go download this and check it for themselves. Everything checks out. It's clearly a fake.
Passengers on board the Makanikai flight that wouldn't stay airborne much longer. That's Health Director Loretta Fuddy in the second row wearing the floral top. Ferdinand Puentes shooting the takeoff with his GoPro when something goes wrong.
Like a pop bang, and it just went silent, and you would hear the alarm in the pilot's cabin just started going off. And I looked outside in the window and I seen that the ocean was just coming pretty fast. Just hit, and that split second, first thing I did was look for my life vest, and so I was there just fumbling,
I don't
trying
think I've
to
ever seen
get it
that.
open, and it happened so fast. Just as soon as he opened the door, water just rushed and filled our feet up to our ankles. As I entered the water, and the wing was right there, I figured everyone was rushing as fast as I did. So I just kept on going up to the end of the wing and make sure that there was room for the other passenger.
That's a selfie of Puentes holding on, and then that eerie sight underwater of legs kicking as other passengers also hold on, and some still putting their life vest on.
So you gotta put it on first before you put it.
That appears to be Loretta Fuddy in this photo, holding on to the inside part of the wing.
Everybody okay?
And the pilot, bloody in the water, but still very much in control, telling them to stay away from the plane. So they let go and drift as a group.
It was cold for that day. It was pretty cold and pretty rough. You could actually feel the energy swell just going through your body.
And later, the plane swallowed up by the ocean. And still, Puentes continues to let the GoPro roll.
I kept it going because I thought, I figured if we're not going to make it, I have something that could find it and identify us.
And then help.
Seen the first plane just popped out of the air, and with that plane that flew over us, it gave me hope. It's like someone's there. Actually realize that someone's there that can call help.
With that hope, Puentes and several others start swimming. The Calopapa shoreline in sight, the swells getting bigger. Puentes was plucked out of the ocean by a county helicopter just 50 yards from shore.
Came down, and a rescue swimmer held out his hand, and by that time I was totally exhausted, mentally and physically. I was beat, and I didn't have the energy to pretty much extend my hand, but as he got a hold of me.
A flurry of activity on shore, and while everyone made it out of the plane, Loretta Fuddy, shown in this last photograph taken on Calopapa, died. Her cause of death still under investigation. As Puentes walks the shoreline and looks out into the ocean today, he admits it's a life-changing experience, one that is fresh on his mind.
Beginning, I was like depressed or whatnot, especially at where the Miss didn't survive. I was at that funeral, and it just that feeling I had while I was there, it'll live with me.
Dr. Chiome Fakino is the former director of the Hawaii Department of Health and a devoted Republican. Until now, she had not talked on camera about this topic.
As a Republican member of the last Republican governor of Hawaii, Linda Lingle's cabinet, do you have any doubt that Barack Obama was born in the United States?
Absolutely not. I have no doubt.
She found the original Obama birth certificate stored in a vault in the Department of Health building.
And what did it tell you? Was it authentic? Was he born here in the state of Hawaii?
It was absolutely authentic. He was absolutely born here in the state of Hawaii.
Barack Obama not only has the same proof of birth as millions of other Hawaiians, he also has the current Hawaii governor's memories of him as a baby.
You saw him when he was an infant? Oh, sure, of course. Some people said, he has a forged birth certificate. Well, first of all, it's true, I'm not American. I was not born in Hawaii. I wasn't born in the United States. I come from Kenya. If that wasn't true, then somebody named Barack Hussein Obama from Kenya, from Africa, would not be elected president of the United States.
When we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya, when we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya.
I happen to know that my approval ratings are still very high in the country of my birth.
Who is his real family? Well, we're not ready for that discussion, okay?
13 minutes,
So we have
12 minutes.
2011, Fuddy procuring, I'll say this, falsified, forged birth certificate. In 2012, she's providing verifications. She's sitting there probably hoping against all hope that nobody gets to look at the merits of this case because she would probably be brought in front of the court.
Loretta Fuddy. That's right. The same Loretta Fuddy, the Hawaii State Health Director who approved the release of Obama's long-form birth certificate and who recently and mysteriously died in a plane crash off the coast of Molokai.
Finally, the Maui police issued a statement about what was the ultimate cause of death. And they said that Loretta Fuddy died as a result of cardiac arrhythmia due to stress, induced by stress, and they deemed this incident to be an accident. Well, her brother, Louis Fuddy, immediately said to the press she had no history of health problems. She was healthy and she had no history of heart problems. There's actually the footage of the plane crash. And what you see is everybody on that plane was calm. Nobody was panicking. Nobody was screaming. Nobody was trampling on one another. And then while they're in the water, everybody is calm. And why shouldn't they be calm? Because there's a plane hovering up ahead, basically reassuring them that they're about to be rescued. So why would Loretta Fuddy, who has nerves of steel generally, suffer such a massive panic attack or an irregular heartbeat, whatever you want to call it, because she's freaking out that she's about to die when it's clear she's about to be rescued?
His legal name in Indonesia is Barry Soetoro, as shown on this document, recorded at the school he attended. It would have been unlawful in Indonesia to record any but his full legal name on this document. So as far as we know, to this day, in Indonesia, Barry Soetoro remains his legal name. Barry, or Barack Hussein if you will, attended a Catholic school in Indonesia, which was required by law to instruct him in the religion of Islam.
As a boy, I spent several years in Indonesia and heard the call of the azan at the break of dawn.
An exceptional orator, promise for the disillusioned, and change from the status quo. These are all what helped Barack Obama to become president 2 years ago. But now the reality seems to be something far from that. In what is being called a bombshell, investigative journalist Wayne Madsen has revealed in a report that in 1983, President Obama worked for the Business International Corporation, which was a CIA front. The company used to conduct seminars with the world's most powerful leaders as agents abroad with CIA espionage activities. Madsen says this intelligence connection runs in Obama's family. Obama's maternal grandmother, Madeline Dunham, was one of the first female vice presidents of the Bank of Hawaii in Honolulu. The report says this bank was also a CIA front for funneling money to oppressive dictators and rulers, such as former Indonesian President Suharto, who came into power through a CIA-backed coup. In the 1960s, Obama's father had been selected by the leader of Kenyan African National Union, Tom Mboya. CIA files indicate that Mboya was an important agent of influence for the agency. The airlift was a CIA operation to train future agents of influence in Africa, which was a battleground between the US, the Soviet Union, and China for influence. As a Kenyan student in the University of Hawaii, Obama's father, who was already married and had a child with another on the way in Kenya, met Obama's mother, Ann Dunham, in a Russian class in Hawaii. This meeting eventually led to their marriage. Barack Obama's mother, Dunham, was divorced when his son was 4. She married Lolo Soetoro after meeting him at the East-West Center at the University of Hawaii, the center affiliated with CIA activities in the Asia-Pacific region. She worked for Tim Geithner's father, Peter, at the Ford Foundation, widely believed to be a CIA front.
I'm on the whitehouse.gov. This is a government website. This is the official whitehouse.gov. Today, if you didn't know, Barack Obama released his alleged birth certificate. This is the URL. I'm going to zoom in just in case any of you want to go there. It's http://www.whitehouse.gov/blog/2011/04/27/long-form-birth-certificate. On this page, you can see the birth certificate. And the interesting thing about this is they left it in PDF format. Let's click the link. Still on whitehouse.gov, might I add. This is the birth certificate in PDF form. Now, the interesting thing about, I'm just going to go ahead and download this to my computer real quick, save PDF to download folder. There it is. The interesting thing about PDF files, if you didn't know, is that PDFs are ran through Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is, of course, by Adobe. Let me open this up so you can see. Here is the birth certificate. Now, if you didn't know this, Adobe makes a series of software, including Adobe Illustrator. Illustrator and After Effects are linked through Adobe's Adobe Bridge, is what they call it. Basically, Adobe Illustrator lets you kind of create and edit photos similar to how Photoshop would.
Got 7
Now,
minutes.
if
Then
you save
Holly,
an image that you've created or edited or modified or enhanced in Adobe Illustrator as just an image file, it'll delete all traces of what you've edited in Illustrator. It'll only show the final result, kind of like how this looks. I can't see where people have edited, I just see an image. However, if you export it to Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is a PDF file format, and this is unknown to many people, but it will save it and keep all the data from where you've edited. And then, in turn, through Adobe Bridge, you can open this PDF file in Illustrator. I happen to have Illustrator, so I'm going to right-click on this file I just downloaded. First, let me get info just for evidential reasons. You can see on this file right here, where from, and it has the URL, whitehouse.gov, and last opened today, 6:51. Created today, 6:51 p.m. I'm in Eastern Standard Time right now. It's 6:53 currently. I'm in Georgia. Now, if I right-click and hit open with Adobe Illustrator, this is the software that they use to create this fake birth certificate. Allow it to initialize and warm up. Here it is, Adobe Illustrator. This is the birth certificate, and here is the layers palette. Now, if you didn't know, in Illustrator, if you want to add something, if you want to edit, maybe draw on top of something, what you do is click this button to create a new layer, and then you can draw on top of things. And you can see I just drew lines, and it's on a new layer, and you wouldn't be able to tell if I just saved this as an image of it, whether it was part of the original or not, but here you can see it's on a new layer. If you open it in Illustrator and you can turn on and off this layer, you can toggle the visibility and see that it was drawn, that it was added in later on. Let me delete this layer and go back to layer 1. This is the original from whitehouse.gov. If you open this up, arrow means expand. It'll expand a layer to a group. You expand that again. Here's all the layers. Now, allegedly, this birth certificate was scanned onto a computer. If you know anything about scanners and scanning into Adobe Illustrator, it keeps it on one layer. It doesn't, there's no such thing as technology for a scanner that'll separate parts of the images to different layers. So if they scanned this, which they say they did, it would all be on one layer. However, here there are multiple layers, as you can see, and even inside these, there's more. I'm just going to show you, this is the original one right here. The bottom layer is the first layer they started out with, and I'll toggle the visibility of that so you can see the stuff that was original. Everything else has been added on, and all the layers are above. I'll show you. This layer, for instance, contains a whole bunch of fake stuff. You can really see it. One interesting thing, let me zoom in so you can see. I'll enhance this. If you draw something, such as a signature, in ink, you can see all these pixels. You can see where it's
over, you guys.
different colors. That's because ink on paper, it's not one solid color. It creates different colors. And when you scan it, the scanner obviously detects the different colors. Things like this D right here for the signature, that is done in pen. But as you can clearly see beside it, this is all one solid color. This is added on the computer. This isn't even penmanship. This was drawn on a computer. This is for signature of parent, and there's Ann, D, and the rest is added on the computer. Now, let me show you some of the layers. Here we have August 8th, 1961. If I toggle this layer, I believe it's this one. Yes, you can see that the only real thing in this image is the 1, the 9, and the 1. Everything else is added in, the August, the 8th, and you can also see the original date on top of this, date accepted by RG General. Obviously went over, so they also had to fake the date A so they could add the August, covering up whatever other date may have been there. You can see where it says type of occupation outside home during pregnancy.
Really
it says none. However, if we toggle on and off the layer that this is on, I believe it's
don't know how old this is.
one. Yes, you'll see that the N, the O, and the N were added. Perhaps it said wife. They left the E and added an N-O-N. bottom line is, and I do this for a living, Illustrator, if you scan something on, it's not going to separate them into layers. And you can easily see this has been added on the computer, especially when you zoom in and enhance it. You can see the parts that were done in pen, such as the signature here,
Thanks, Margo.
up until the D, and everything else was added on the computer. You can see the solid ink. There's no change in the color of pixels, whereas normal ink would change between different shades of black and gray. This is one solid green color. When you're zoomed out, it appears black. So the only real part of the signature is the and D. Everything else, including the Obama, is faked, and it's obviously faked. Even the parentheses around this up here, you can see this parenthesis over here is real, going over the parent. You can see the changes in the pixels, but the one on this side is faked. And whatever they had here, I'll turn it on and off, went on top of the S in signature. So if they wanted to put this fake parenthesis here, they had to also get rid of what was already there, which overlapped the S. So they also had to redraw the S on top of that. You can see clearly just from zooming in, even if you don't have Illustrator, just zooming in on your computer, printing it out, looking at it, you can see all the stuff that's faked. There's different colors. They didn't even match the colors right. The August 8th, 1961, you can clearly see a change in color. The 1 and the 9 are different colors than the 6. It's all fake, but the really interesting part is somewhere out there, there is a real birth certificate. But this is clearly a fake. There's no doubt about it. And it's pretty poorly done too. So whoever faked this was either the most foolish editor ever and mistakenly allowed access to the layers, or they were a pure genius and they were trying to expose Obama. And well, here it is. I mean, anyone can go download this and check it for themselves. Everything checks out. It's clearly a fake.
All right. What do you guys think of those videos on Obama today? Got 5 good ones out today. Okay, now the next 2 big ones here. We'll see how it goes. If you guys all like me to play both sets, I will. So we don't have to play it tonight. And Flying Eagle, it's Holly. So I'm going to say her name, and everybody, you guys go, if you can go scepter her so she gets credit for all the intel. I'm going to play part 2 because I'm not sure which guy is the part 1 and part 2, you guys. So I'm going to do the part 2 first. So that is Holly on YouTube, and shout out to her channel. Thank you. 55.
We should make those.
Those of you who don't want me to cuss as much, well, I'm not going to guarantee you shit, okay, people?
Nope, you just did it.
Like it is.
That you do.
Because there's not enough people like me out there pissed off enough to start letting her rip, because there is so much insanity going on right now out there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I agree. And people, a lot of my audience do love you because you just say it the way it is. You say what they feel, they're thinking, but they don't have a voice to go and put this out there, and you just call it the way it is. So I'll turn it over to you, and you can share what it is you want to come back and share with everybody.
Well, to those people who think you don't have a platform, I beg to differ. You have a platform. You live in a town, you live in a city, you have people around you. Just speak up to them. Every time you get a chance, try to red pill them, because chances are they're probably woke. And at this stage of the game, it's absurdity that they're still woke. Mm-hmm. But thinking about it, I've said with you, Holly, we've been in the shit show for 10 years. No, I'm retracting that. I'm going back to the eight years under Obama. All this shit started under his watch in the first term, and it continued on for 2 terms. So add his 8 to the 10. So we've been at this shit show for 18 years. We've set a record.
Doesn't it even go back farther when Bill Clinton signed into law NESRA? I mean, doesn't it go back to then, because it's been stopped from that point on?
Well, yes. If you're putting NESRA as a subject matter, yes, it goes back in to 93 with Bill Clinton. Yes.
Right.
But all the other stuff, the child trafficking, the child rape, the killing of babies for blood, hot dogs at the White House for $60,000 just to bring in a bunch of boys so they can get raped by a bunch of.
Is this going to be okay for everybody? I'll stop it. Just let me know.
Old perverted men, a couple floors down at the White House under Obama. You know, that is grade number 1 sick.
It is beyond sick. They do not deserve to live doing that to children.
They don't. Footers involved in this thing, you're just going to slap them on the hands and ask them, please don't rape these little boys anymore. No, they need to be shot in the head in front of a concrete wall.
There is no room for any child abuse at all. Any type of it. It is the most heinous crime that you could do in my book. I just can't even, it turns my stomach.
You take a young life and you destroy it psychologically, physically, and emotionally.
Yep.
And whoever does that to small kids or children, they need to be shot in the head. Mm-hmm. Point blank. Don't pass go. You don't even need a court case. Someone's got the evidence that you've done that to a child. You don't need to be brought into a damn court and gone through a stupid trial over that. That's the most heinous thing you can do to a young child's life, is to fuck it up like that.
Yeah, it does. I have firsthand knowledge of this because I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but my 2 brothers were raped by their Boy Scout leaders, and it destroyed their lives. And they've never been the same. My one brother drank himself to death because he could never live with what happened to him. And my other brother wound up killing his Boy Scout leader, went to prison for it, and he's out. Now he talks about this openly. He's written a book, and he is an advocate for people that have been abused, children that have been abused. So he's turned his life around, but I have seen it firsthand what this does to children.
Well, see, in the present court system that we have, which is beyond fucked up, with this bar clown bullshit, he shouldn't even have been spent 1 day in prison over that. That was justice, what he did. I don't care how you look at it. You know, I don't care if you folks believe in this OSAS crap or not, but that person does not spend 1 day in heaven for that. what he did to that young boy.
Yeah.
It's past go. Do not collect $200. Straight to hell, man. Burn forever in hell.
Yeah.
If we had more people who got as pissed off as I do
what do you think,
about
Dave?
certain subject matter, we wouldn't be sitting where we are now. We got people here in the background on a RV rollout, putting every stop out there to stop the people from getting the funds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is insanity. When are people going to start being put in front of concrete walls and shot? That's the only way you stop it. On Sunday, I was having a talk with a guy, and he is woke as woke can be. He claims that these planes up there giving off chemtrails are not giving off chemtrails. I said, you got to be kidding me. They're putting up patterns up there. Those aren't normal flight path patterns. Oh, yes, they are. They would not do that to us. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Some people have a really hard time believing our government would go and harm us with chemicals. Like they can't believe that they would do that.
Yep. He even told me that he believed that we went to the moon last week or the week before.
Hello, it is AI Chris here. Have you heard of the Great Wealth Transfer, and are you ready for it? Some are positioning themselves by collecting physical currencies tied to major economic events, such as the Iraq Dina, Vietnamese Dong.
That thing.
Armor All. Trusted for over 60 years.
Good job, kiddo.
Started.
Right.
It's
I fast forwarded.
ridiculous.
All right. So we've gone and digressed a lot.
Yeah.
So I know you had information that you wanted to share that you didn't share the last show. And so why don't you go to some of your talking points that you wanted to hit on?
Okay. I want this show named Israel and the Mossad.
Okay.
Some people out there, and sorry, I don't care. Whatever the truth is, you just be okay with it, you know, and don't make your snide comment in the comments, because I know a lot of you are, because you show what you really like. But what if I were to tell you that Bibi Netanyahu is not a Jew? Bibi Netanyahu grew up in the state of Pennsylvania in this country.
All right.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I've read that.
Netanyahu went to high school in this country, in the state of Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it seem like a lot of these deep state actors come out of Pennsylvania? Why is that? And why all the deception with him, and then put him in charge of the Rothschilds Israel that they started in 1948?
So what is it about Pennsylvania then, where these people come from? Do you know? Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
But he's followed, I don't know if he's followed me, but he's found me on social media over the last 6, 7, 8 years. And he lives in Pennsylvania. And this guy, I cannot figure out if this guy is -48, guano saving, or someone deep undercover within movie 2. You know, he uses all this gematria number shit that I don't like, just like -48 does or did. But he's in Pennsylvania. You know, I've driven, I've flown into Pennsylvania. It's like, what is it about that state? I don't get it. I mean,
I don't know.
It's crazy. I haven't figured that out, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
But if you look at everything within our country, and Holly uses the word infiltration a lot, if you look at every facet of this country, I'm talking Freemasons, I'm talking Mormons, I'm talking the Vatican, I'm talking our court systems, our cops, our judges, everything has been infiltrated by Israel, some form or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But what also comes with that is that ugly entity of Mossad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm still so pissed off at that Trump in a mask. He had to have been a black hat who thought he was saving TikTok, and he brought in that Jew buddy of his, Oracle. You know, they brought in Mossad. That site is so pathetic. For the last 3 weeks, I've been back on there, and every word I put out there or a comment on someone else's post, bam, strike, boom, within milliseconds. It's like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it is rampant. The Mossad are so into censorship, anything about Israel. Mm-hmm. And then we hear all these laws. You say anything about Israel, we're going to come after you. You know, you can't say anything about Israel. People in this country need to wake up. Israel's not our friends. I've been saying it for a long time. They've infiltrated everything in this country. They even infiltrated the White House. You know, they've already got everybody in Congress blackmailed through that AIPAC stupid Israel funding machine that everyone uses. Everyone's been corrupted through some Jewish BS somewhere along the line. They have infiltrated and they've held our country hostage all this time.
So I just want to state one thing, that it's not the people of the country. It is the Mossad agents and the government people that we're talking about.
So don't get offended and wear your emotions on your sleeve, people. I'm looking at the big picture. You don't personalize it and make it about you, for fuck's sakes. I'm bringing you something to keep your eyes open and understand what the problems are that we have in this country. Then you got that Jared Kushner. You know, some claim he's the Antichrist because he wants to push this Zionist thing where they want to start World War III and bring in the Antichrist. Well, I got news for you. Half the people not all the people who want to bring in the Third World War and usher in the Antichrist, they are not going to heaven at all. They're all going to hell. You can't artificially bring that on and expect you to be in nirvana for the rest of your life. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So, and that stupid thing that Israel always says, we are supposed to serve and die for Israel because they consider us goyim, you know, dumb sheep. Mm-hmm. You know, what other religion out there tells the rest of the world that if you're not a Jew, you're supposed to live and die for Israel? You're supposed to live and die for us. You're supposed to serve us. I don't know of any other. You know, Muslims, they kind of do the same thing, but not to that radical degree in that stupid Talmud, the unholy book.
There are a lot of these religions that are very extreme, and it's kind of a little warped with what they believe and practice, and then expect the rest of the world to be on the same page.
Well, Jason Q has been telling us for years about and warning us about the Jew and Israel and the infiltration within this country. And he's taken a lot of heat over the years because it's that one subject matter that offends everybody. But he's been putting it out there, digging deep into rabbit holes and uncovering everything Israel. And it's not good. And you name me another race who's been kicked out of every country that they've ever been in.
Have they really? They've been kicked out of every country?
Someone came up with a number of 107.
Wow.
Like 107.
Wow.
You know, there's something to his name too. Is it an Israel connection?
I don't know.
I don't know either. He seems so convoluted nowadays. You can't really nail anything down.
Chico.
All right. So what else do you have to talk about?
Well, let's talk about the little
Yeah, that's how much time we got.
Life is beautiful and fragile. We fall.
Little queer Zelensky over there in Ukraine. That guy has had pictures taken of him in New York
33
City
more minutes,
when he was a teenager.
Then we'll take a break and be back tonight around
And
7.
then the deep state, fucking Rothschild, set him up to run that stupid country over there. And that little fool has addressed Congress just like Netanyahu. It's like, why do we let these people in our buildings? They contaminate it when they're in a building. And how many people during that stupid Ukraine war jump on the side of Ukraine, jump on the deep state side? You know, it's fucking mind blowing how dumb we are in this country. We support the wrong people all the time.
Yep, get that
But
right.
don't you think a lot of that are people that are paid to do this?
To initially deceive, yes.
Yeah.
So, Flying Eagle, that Juan guy is bad then? Is that what he was saying? I never liked him.
What do you say about the idiots who fall for it, hook, line, and sinker?
Well, they're very good on doing the pro and the con for every argument. And if you agree with the pro, you're going to jump on board at that. If you agree with the con side of it, you're going to jump on board with that. And people don't have enough discernment to be able to tell the truth in all of the back and forth.
Yeah, I guess you got a point there. It just goes to show you that the what do you want to call it, the integrity of the people in this country to be hoodwinked that easy, is unbelievable.
Because we're in information overload, and they can spin a narrative like
there you go,
so convincing that it's very hard to determine what is true and what's not true.
Well, there again, I'm going to go back to what I've said years and years ago. It all derived from the Q movement. They led us to believe that this shit show would be over soon.
Yeah.
And it's just kept going on and on like the fucking ever ready bunny. Mm-hmm. It's BS. They've shot themselves in the foot. Whoever came up with this, whoever started it, they didn't provide enough actual evidence of a lot of what they were presenting in the Q posts. You know? And you said trust nothing. Question everything. Mm-hmm. Well, we got to do that with Q too. We just can't segment segment them out, you got to apply it to Q.
Right. You got to apply to everything in your life.
Yes. Yeah. But when the subject matter's Q, you got to apply it to that too.
Absolutely.
And about Mossad, these guys are the most protected out there ever. You've got that one entity in social media everywhere, that Evan Kate, who is a female but has a fake Evan Kate out there who's a black guy doing the same thing to people. You complain to a Mossad-driven social media platform like TikTok, they just shoot down your complaint because she is Mossad protected. And it's like amazing. 1,600 accounts.
Wow.
You can block them all, but she keeps showing back up. I mean, it's insanity. It's insanity. And they want us to believe that the white hats are in control. What are they in control of? Or when do they take control? Is it during the EBS, during that time period? Because it sure don't look like they're in control now. I don't care if they call it a movie or not. This level of deception on the American people is driving people crazy lately. I mean, I see it rampant.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
It's the information out there and that they allow. You cannot say white hats are in control. They're just not. I beg to differ. And then you got that guy down there in fucking Alabama. You know, the only thing he talks about is laws and orders.
28 minutes. I know who
he brings nothing to the table, any new. But then you've seen him in 2020. He didn't know anything about NESARA, but yet you find him on these podcasts talking about NESARA like he knows about it.
Well,
it's like I have a real problem with that.
A lot of people talk about NESARA like they know it.
Well, no problem with it. If you want part of it, if you don't know it in depth like I do, shut the fuck up. Don't talk about it. He just wants clicks because he's been put into this social media realm of an importance role. I don't see him as important. I mean, you can only talk about laws and order so much. You know, it's ridiculous. But that Evan Kate is unbelievable. I mean, must protected.
All right. So what else do you have on there?
I want to talk about two more things.
Okay.
The Trump meme, or the meme that came out where JFK Jr. is laying down and Trump's just dressed up like Jesus and laying hands on JFK. A lot of people, and even the Christians, missed the boat on that one, like they missed the boat on a lot of things. That was not slamming or mocking Jesus. That was something biblical. If you read your Bibles, it says, be Christ-like. What they were actually doing is they were laying the foundation that JFK Jr. did not die in that fake 99 plane crash. He's about to reappear. That's what that meme was about. And all these people go rampant across social media, and they're all pissed off about a meme. And they miss the whole meaning of the meme. It's like, Lord have mercy. These people are going to need mental hospitals too, because they just don't get it.
Well, they thought it was blasphemy that he was pretending that he was Jesus.
Oh, see, that's part of this. People wearing their stupid, selfish emotions on their sleeve. Mm-hmm. They need to grow the fuck up and get over it. You miss the whole meaning of that meme.
Right.
And then you got Melania Trump coming out there and making that little speech. The people are getting that wrong too.
You mean about Epstein? That when she spoke? Okay.
Shell Rotella Super Rigs 2026. Register your rig today.
Once weekly Mounjaro.
25 minutes, guys.
From all those in the powers that be want to talk to me about it, feel free. But this is what I believe. She came out and did that because she knows that that person who got shipped out of this country has all the goods on her, that her adult life with 45 has been a facade, fake. There is way too many pictures out there of them together. I mean, I could go on and on and on about all these pictures, but those will say, "Oh, those are digital makeups. They were doctored." Da 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 da. She wouldn't have come out and addressed that issue if she wasn't trying to get ahead of the story and cover her ass. That's what I believe. And who knows about the Trump in a mask early on when they were dating? Which Trump in a mask was that? Because we know it wasn't the real DJT.
Well, you had shared with me, I don't know if I can even say this, that one picture you shared with me. Can we talk about that or no? So you had shared with me a picture of, it was a newspaper article of Donald J. Trump and Ivanka. And it looks like Ivanka, but it does not at all look like DJT. It also almost looks like a Alfred Hitchcock with Ivanka. And it was, they were at some fundraiser in New York. And then lo and behold, we have this Playboy young Donald Trump showing up on the scene. So
hey,
do you want to talk about that?
Respect your, yep.
So that's all part of this
We gotta
smoke
believe
and
in
mirrors bullshit that we're going through in this 18 years of shit show.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
People try to deceive, and they're trying to get you to think of a certain narrative that's being played out, and they give you some truth, and then they also give you some deception at the same time.
Right.
Now, a lot has to do with this changing of identity. I've got pictures of what's her name? The young Trump when she was a teenager.
Oh, Ivanka.
Yeah, Ivanka. Where she looks totally different. I mean, totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a picture of someone who stepped in and took over her identity that looked more like her now.
Well, they said she had a lot of plastic surgery.
I'm going to deny that. I have no clue on that, other than what's talked about out there. But the point I'm getting at is they've done all these switching of identities, so you can't really nail down the truth.
Right.
And that's why this whole shit show has done more damage to people, because they get them believing a certain way, because the narrative way that they want people to think, and it's just messing with people's heads left and right.
Well, there's even the guy Quigley out there who claims he is the real John F. Kennedy Jr. and that he was taken out of the picture and then they replaced him with this one that we know as John F. Kennedy Jr. So it gets so confusing.
Well, quickly, I busted him in private DMs 5 years ago. He told me that he was the fourth person in the plane when it went down, and he's the only one who survived. And I said, dude, there weren't four people on their plane in that plane when it took off. There was one, a Navy pilot who took that plane up in the air. They had switched out the altitude detonation trigger for that bomb, or C4, whatever it was, and he put it on a switch. So when he jumped out of that plane, he was on. He was on. He was out over the water. Da 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 da. He was on a parachute. On his way down, he hit the trigger. The passenger door blew apart, and it fell into the water. And I said, "There's no way you were on that plane." And I told him why I was serious about he was not on that plane. I gave him some private information to let him know that I'm calling his bullshit. And I did. And he got so pissed off at me in that conversation in direct message that he just shut it off and blocked me.
Hear that? The wildest.
I hope everybody's
Get
okay
out
with
there
this
with Blue
one.
Wilderness. Formulated to give your dog the
Oh,
energy they
very
need,
important
and made
now.
with meat as the first 3 ingredients. It's everything they need.
It's like, oh no, this guy knows too
19
much.
minutes.
I can't let this go out there. He probably screenshot this whole
19.
conversation and is going to put it out on social media.
Wow.
So, yeah, no, Quigley. I claim Quigley is a CIA plant.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way he would wait till 2020 to come back out and start saying he's JFK Jr., the real one.
Right.
No. But I'm kind of pissed off at JFK Jr. because last weekend they gave us little tidbits of him gonna make his appearance, and he hasn't made it yet. He's that pilot in that movie about his story, clear as day pictures during the daylight of him reaching out his hand, shaking the actor JFK Jr. as they come up to the plane. That's JFK Jr. There's no two ways about it. We've waited 27 years, John, for your reappearance to public. Will you get back here, sir, and save this country? My God, bring Patton Jr. with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't want to wait any longer for JFK Jr. to come back out. And it ain't going to be Quigley.
Right.
For all the sheep dip fools thinking that that's JFK Jr., you're just falling for more bullshit.
And that's why it gets so confusing when you have people out there that talk a really good talk and they can be very convincing. There's the other gentleman, I can't think of his name, that says he's the real King of England. And yeah, I can't think of his name. But, these people are very convincing, and it's so hard to see the truth.
Now that guy started out 4 years ago when he came onto the social media scene, and he branded himself as John Clooney,
Mm-hmm.
trying to come across like he's JFK Jr. It's like, Lord have mercy. I talked about that in one of my previous shows where there's mugshots of him where he stole identity of some British military guy to be where he's at now. I mean, he's a fraud. He's one out there saying, well, if you say anything, well, bring a body bag.
Mm-hmm.
Body bag. It's like the insanity of this bullshit. The shit show needs to fucking end.
Yep.
Quit kicking the can down the road, and anybody who disrupts the RV coming out to the public needs to be put in front of a concrete wall and shot in the head. Point blank. I came out with a solution to all this chem plane problems. When that plane lands, you shoot the whole crew in the head. I don't care if they're military, industrial, complex contractors or not. Shoot them in the head. Those planes will not go up anymore. If word gets around, you're going to die when you land. You know, that's not being a pussyfooter. That's coming up with a solution to a problem. You know, as much crap as they're dumping on us from the sky, we're all going to be needing med beds to clean out our systems.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, it's sad.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sky. Then we have the water, our food, the air. I mean, it's just endless. You know, our clothing, chemicals in, you know, all the things to clean the house and the bedding and everything is just contaminated with toxic things.
Yeah, I know. And I want to bring up this. Mike S., I've gone to your page, Bubba. I've looked at it. You have got some deep psychological problems. For you to say what you do in the comments and your page is riddled with the bullshit you have on it, boy, you are woke. You are woke. And those powers that be behind the scenes who trying to roll out RV and Nesra, they better take your page into consideration, brother, because you don't deserve a dime. Have the audacity to jump down my throat saying stupid shit. You have no clue what I've done in my career for this country. And I want to make a retraction. Yep, Mr. X is going to make a retraction.
Hey.
Couple shows back, I told you about a gal who was filming dirty cops doing stupid shit. Well, I've looked into that gal. You talk about a psychotic nutcase. She is in bed with all these, quote, dirty cops that she's filming doing shit with. She is a nutcase. Her intentions were good, but she takes it way past the line. She wants suicide by cop, I tell you. But that's my retraction. Her whole point of what she's doing was good, but she's taken a whole nother direction and just destroyed it.
Wow.
And you know,
sit down, buddy.
And I want to give a shout out again to Mr. Jason Q. If he happens to be listening to this show, brother, you've done the truther community a great justice by all the research you've done and digging you've done throughout your 10-year career, starting on Facebook in 2015. I thank you immensely for what you brought to the table as far as information, because there is no better digger into information than Jason Q. I thank you, sir, for what you've done.
All right. What else do you have on there? Or did you cover everything?
No, I got to touch on it again. I'm tired of fucking talking about it. Where are these med beds? You got all these thousands of people all over the place saying, "Oh, they're out. Oh, they're out. They're in certain military places." Da, 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 da. Well, they're not out to the public. No one's getting invited to these things.
No.
You know, stop kicking the can down the fucking road. Let's go. People need to heal in this.
They do.
In this country. Do you not get it? You know, all the shit they dump on us from the air, all the poisons they put in our food, all the poisons they put in our medicine. You know, what is your agenda? You know, that you say the military. Which military? Our deep state military? They're behind it? Let's go. I'm tired of turning on social media and seeing all these military guys saying, "Yeah, well, I've been through a med bed." Blah, blah, blah. Well, good for you. Good for you. What about the public? They need to be out.
Right.
You know, and you shouldn't have to look under a fucking rock to find a med bed. people should know where to go exactly to go get treated and get healed internally and externally if they have to go into one of those med beds. You know, we're told there's 3 out there.
Yeah.
Now they've added 3 more, so there's 6. You know, the bullshit never stops. You know, I swear, I really don't think only black hats need to be put up in front of a concrete wall when this shit's over. I really don't. Because if the level of deception or psyop is done by a quote white hat on the American people, you guys need to be held responsible. This is bullshit. This thing has to end.
You know
in
what?
a short time,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Nope, finish.
No.
I was
In the
gonna.
short time I've been on social media, I've noticed that there's still people not talking about the shit show. How many fucking times do I gotta bring it up? You people are afraid to fucking say anything. Get loud. It's not too late to get loud. If they see a majority of people out there pissed off, getting verbal about the shit show still going on, then they'll respond.
Believe in faster with the all-new
It's not
Callaway
over,
Chrome
you
Tour
guys.
family.
I'll be back at 7.
I was going to say the group that I really like a lot are the Red Hats because they go in, they take action. They don't sit by the sidelines. You see them go in, they do their whatever maneuver is, they're in, they're out, it's done. There's no, as you say, pussyfooting around. It's taken care of.
Opposite of what this gene decode dude talks about. He said, no, we can't basically and be like the bad guys. It's a war, Gene. You don't pussyfoot around and ask these people not to be a bad guy. You go set a precedent, and that's drop the hammer. Drop the hammer on these people, then it will stop.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't pussyfoot around. Oh, we can't like the bad guys. Oh, sure we can. That's what a war is. No one ever won a war by pussyfooting around and asking the other side, oh, will you please stop? Please stop killing us. Shit. This thing has to end. Juan O'Sabin needs to go change all the oil in all his hot rods in his garage. They've been sitting there too many years. You know, let's go.
You know what I was told by somebody also very involved in this movement, because I would openly voice, why don't they just go in and just, be done with all of this once and for all? Why does it have to be so slow and painful? And he would tell me in their meetings that it is, you don't want to do what the other side is doing. We do no harm is what they always would say in their meetings. And I said, but they're doing harm to us. And his answer was, and I would say, we need to just go in and just wipe it out once and for all. And they were like, nope, we're not going to be like them. We have to do no harm. And that was their motto. And that's why this has taken so long.
Well, that logic has all those guys' heads up their ass.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the stupidest thing I've heard. You don't win with that logic. You go set a precedent, dadgummit. If you look at the group that are in that meeting, whatever he's involved with, I guarantee you probably find some Israeli, some Mossad, some CIA that are undercover, wanting to back off everything so people don't get as pissed off. It's really insane having to go through this shit for now 18 years.
Yep. Well, that was their thinking at the higher ups. And that's why this has taken so long.
I would like to find out a little bit more about the higher ups. Because if I was in that meeting, I'd take my fist and slam it on the table until I broke my hand. This shit has to stop. You guys need to wake the fuck up. We need to start bringing the heavy ammo out on this. Do no harm. Jeez, oh Pete, what a bunch of pussyfooters. That's why this is why I question the leadership of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. What else do you have?
Please overturn the tables like Jesus did in the temple.
Exactly.
Somebody in that fucking group grow up here and overturn the tables, or put some people up against the wall and give them wall-to-wall counseling. Jesus. Leadership. How in the fuck did they get a leadership role with that stupid logic? Do no harm. They're probably a Freemason. Probably a Freemason said that. And nobody knows that they're a Freemason. Stupid, idiotic logic. Anyway.
So did we cover everything, or you have more that you want to share?
No, I covered it all. I covered it all. You people have to realize that this country has been infiltrated by Israel and the Mossad. Everywhere you look, both those entities have this country held hostage, and they have for many years. Get it through your thick heads. Israel is not our friend. We've been fed a bunch of BS by deep state actors that we have to support Israel. We don't have to support Israel. The church-going folks got it all wrong about Israel. And they need to wake up too, because they're holding this thing back too, because they refuse to wake up about the infiltration of Israel in a negative way on this country. Jason Q is right. Listen to his shows. Man, he's Israel this, Israel that, Jew this, Jew that. He's right. He's done more research than anybody on the subject.
Another one we have been heavily infiltrated from are Muslims. And I was just talking to somebody today, and they're like, we are going to see Sharia law here in the United States. And I've seen that they're already trying to push it in parts of Dearborn, Michigan and Texas. And people need to stand up and say no. And with the mayor in New York City, it's going to only be a matter of time before they start trying to push Sharia law there.
Well, you know what the big test for that was way back when, I can't remember what year it was that Jade Helm crap. That was a test on the Texas people. Do we have real cowboys in Texas, or we got guys only wearing square-toed cowboy boots that act like they're a bunch of femmes? What do we have in Texas? So that was the battleground for Jade Helm.
Wow.
Are we going to push this Muslim crap in the state of Texas, where they want you to think that all the men there are badasses, and carry guns in the back of their pickup truck windows, and they're not going to allow any of that to happen? Well, if you ask me, Texas failed in the Jade Helm test, whatever year that happened.
Wow. Well, everybody, you have heard it from Mr. X. It's time to get loud. It's time to not sit back and just allow our country to be overrun and overtaken. And it's time to stand up and say no, because it's up to us, we the people, not just sit back and say, Q said trust the plan, and we don't do anything. You have to take action. We have to be very vocal in moving forward for what we do want. Because if you don't express what you want, they will just shove down your throat what they want.
That is true. take my approach. Be an equal opportunity critic of everything, because nothing has made sense in the last 18 years, especially the last 10 years. We've been sold a bunch of psychotic BS by the deep state. The shit show's still going. You know, this military psyops bullshit. If our, quote, white hat military is involved in this psyop, they all need to be put in front of a concrete fucking wall, because they're committing war crimes against the American people. I said it before, and some of you mocked what I said, but think about it.
All right, Mr. X, it's always a breath of fresh air having you on. So thank you for your time, and we will have you back again.
Thank you, Holly. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow. That was Holly. If you guys, I'm subbed to her and give credit to her channel. So we got 5 good videos out. A lot of good stuff today. 4 with the Obama videos, and then that one, and a lot of good stuff out so far today. And we'll get a night show in tonight at 7 with more good stuff to come. So everybody have a good dinner. Back for the evening show. And Maud, hey, Lucy, Carol, Tim, Michael, and Tim. Thanks, Michael. And no new people in today in chat. None of the new ones came in. Hopefully they'll be here tonight. God bless everybody. Love all. Remember, please hit the like and never give up. Stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith. And never signing off. Chico and Dude, and we'll see you around 7.